Hey there, I'm Lance and I'm a gamer.
And I'm Sam and I'm a non-gamer.
And we are Love to Hate, where we help gamers find great games to play with non-gamers.
And today we're taking a look at Explorers of Navoria by Qiling Games.
Explorers of Navoria is a game that used to be called Townsfolk Wanted, but now it is known by Explorers of Navoria. And as you can see, we don't have an English copy of this game, but the English edition is coming out very soon. And so we were given the English rules to play with. And the game itself is language independent. There are no words on any of the game components. It's just the rule book that's going to have your different languages available to you. But this is a game in which you are going to be exploring 3 different countrysides. You've got your glaciers, your mountain glaciers, your cactus deserts, and your forest. And with that, you will be trying to explore as far as you can, but you are going to be wanting to build up your little towns houses, and you are wanting to get the right display of cards to give you the most points for what you've been trying to accomplish throughout the course of the game. It's a little bit of a point salad game where you get all your points from. Let me show you how it works down below, and then we'll come back and share our thoughts on it as a gamer and non-gamer. Alright, I have Explorers of Navoria on the table. Let me show you how this game is going to work. Now, you do have a lot of components in this game, and it is quite large. It takes up a lot of space, so this board here is quite large. You do have player boards for each of the players as well. I could not put that on frame here and get everything else on frame. Now, on these player boards, I do want to point out that they do have spots here for your townhouse, or your trading posts, excuse me. You do have spots here for 9 trading posts, 3 in each of the different regions, and your player boards are separated by those 3 regions, which match the 3 regions on the board. There's actually 4 regions, but you've got your forest region right here, your desert region right there, your mountain region at the very top, and this is the center town in the middle of the board. Now, also you've got lots of cards, and players do have wooden components that they have some in their player area, but then they've got explorer markers that are going to be exploring Navoria. And so that is what you have. You do also have some resources, and all the components are very nice with this game. Now, how this game is going to work: you will have someone be the first player, and that is denoted by this circle right here, this compass, and you are going to put a player piece in the northwestern quadrant where there's a 1, and that will be the first player. And then second player will go there, third and fourth. And as you can see, I've got 2 set up over there to demonstrate that. I did forget to mention there's also a cloth bag with more wooden components that you will be drawing from. That's the first thing that's going to happen. So you will, as the first player, you will draw 2 of the tokens that are inside this bag. And there are going to be wooden tokens that match the colors of decks with the icons on them. So as you can see, I drew a yellow and blue token. Now with these 2 tokens, what's going to happen is I choose one of them to put on top of a deck over here, and I draft a card of that matching color from the market over here. So for instance, I'm going to pick yellow because yellow's right here next to me. If I picked yellow, I would put the yellow token here on top of the deck, and I could draft one of these cards that are right here. The other token that I did not select, it would go in the middle of the city, in the center of the board. So then maybe I select this card right here. Now, all the cards are going to be different, but just know that the yellow cards are going to always have an option for me to be able to put one of my trading posts out on the map. And so again, here are my trading posts, and they're always going to come with an icon that tells you where you could put that trading post. So this is going to be the forest trading post, as denoted by that tree right there. And so I would take the top trading post in my forest region. As you can see, that is the tree, and this is the forest region, and I have to put it in the first spot on the trail, not counting the starting spot here where my explorer is. And the trading posts are going to be good for two main reasons. First is they're going to let you get more benefits whenever you do this action at some point on your turn. But then secondly, they're going to help your explorer to stay advanced on this trail, because you're going to be moving your explorers down this trail, and at the end of the round, they are going to retreat back to the furthest trading post that you've built. So you will want more trading posts out here on this line so that they don't have to go all the way back to start at the end of the round. They can go right here and continue on the trail in the next round. You may also have to move them forward to a trading post if you keep building trading posts but you don't advance your explorer. So that is another thing that can happen. So anyhow, the yellow cards are going to let you build out your trading posts as well as get maybe resources and points. Now, the green cards are going to always give you resources and maybe points. This card right here would give you 3 victory points immediately and a sword resource, whereas this card right here is going to give you 3 crystals or minerals. Now, whenever you get resources in this game, and again, there are 3 different types of resources. You've got your crystals, your swords, and your apples. So let's say that I had those 3 crystals. I am going to put them on my player board in the 3 different regions. And so here are our 3 different regions. You've got, again, the forest, the cactus, and the mountains. And I have to put them all in different regions. So in this case, I would be putting one in every region. Now, what am I trying to do with these resources? I'm going to go ahead and remove all these trading posts so that you can see this a little bit better. You are trying to complete the sets that are depicted for each region. So this particular region, you want 1 of each of the 3 different resources. Whereas in this one, you just need 4 of any kind of resources. And then in the third and final region, you want 3 of a kind. So those are the things that you're trying to accomplish. And on your turn, whenever you have one of those fulfilled, you would take all those resources off that spot. So for instance, let's say that I have this one right here, and I have all 3. I would take those resources off, putting them back into the supply, and I would get to do this action right here, which this boot icon is what allows me to advance my explorer. So I would advance my explorer 1 space in that region. This is, again, the forest region, and I would get a victory point for every green card that I have taken throughout the course of the game. This is a green card, as you can see. It's green, but also on the back of the card it's green. And then if I had my townhouses built, I would gain additional things depending on how many of my townhouses that I've built. And then in this case, it's going to be more points. The yellow option here is likely going to move you along the lines in the 3 different regions. And the blue option is also going to let you do that as well, but then you are going to be able to advance in a region of your choice. You're not just dependent upon what the icon is that tells you where you have to advance on that region. So again, that's what the green cards are going to let you do. The red cards are going to give you in-game victory points as an option. You can see here the clock icon means that that's going to be points for the end of the game. And in this case, you would get 2 victory points for every townhouse that you've built in the desert region. That's this region over here. And the blue cards are going to, blue and purple are very similar. I'm going to have to get out of my seat to go get some of those cards because they're way on the other side of the table. And so here we go. The blue cards are going to be very similar to the purple cards. They're going to give you the option to get something immediately. In this case, this card doesn't. It doesn't give you anything immediately. But then the C here means that this is like money, but think of this as an income phase. It happens at the end of every round. So at the end of every round, you're going to get 1 victory point for every beast card that you have with these beast icons. I haven't pointed it out, but there are icons in the top right corners, and they're going to come in these 4 different varieties right here. You have tokens that match the 4 different icons, and so in this case you would get 1 victory point for every beast icon, including the one that's on the card that you're scoring for. The purple ones are going to be very similar, giving you an immediate bonus and then something at the end of every round. And that something is always going to involve the flags that you have gotten on the different tracks that you see here. So there are going to be flags on the tracks and the different spots that you can advance to. And you'll count up however many flags you have reached on all of the 3 different regions. And as you can see, some regions have more flags than others. In any case, you'll get 1 point for every flag that your explorer has passed or gotten to for that round. So that's what the cards are going to be doing for you. And as you get cards, you're going to be lining them up, playing them from right to left, because you'll be covering up the spots that you get immediate things, revealing what you are scoring at the end of the game or possibly at the end of every round. And then you will go on to the next player. So when it's the next player's turn, again, we put this token here because we're taking a yellow one, and we left the blue token here in the city center. And so now that it's the next person's turn, they can take this blue token and take one of the cards in the blue market. Now, when a card is taken, you do not refill it. So these are the only cards that would be available for this round. And if I did not want to take that blue token as the second player, I could choose to take 2 more from the bag, and I would repeat the same process. In this case, I have to take red, and so I would put a red marker on the red deck, putting the other one in the middle. I would take a red card, and this would continue until everybody has drafted their number of cards for that round, which is dependent upon the number of players in the game. Then, once everybody has all of their cards and they've gotten all of their immediate benefits from those cards, you will proceed to the next phase, which is going to be returning. And when you do this phase, you are going to draw one of the tokens that are on the decks over here, not the ones that are in the center. And so I might take this yellow one, and I would place it on the top yellow bonus in this little region of the board. You can see that there are the colors that match the different decks and the different tokens. So I could take this yellow token and put it there, and I would gain this bonus, which is 2 of the mineral resources plus 2 victory points. Whereas if I had taken the red one here, I would get 2 swords and advance 1 spot on any one exploration path. Once everybody has done that, then you would get your income. And so that's, again, where you get these victory points for the cards that you have in your line of cards. And then you would clean up the board and get ready for the next round. Now, at the end of 3 rounds, that's going to be the end of the game. And turn order is going to change based upon who's in the lead after every round. And the only other things that I haven't really covered, you are going to get victory points for these tracks here. Whoever's advanced the furthest at the end of every round. Some tracks will give you, all the tracks are going to give you 3 points and 2 points for second place and 1 point for third place, depending on how many number of players you have in the game. And again, like I said earlier, your explorer will retreat back either to the start or wherever you have your furthest trading post. So if I'm here, I would retreat back to there, and that's where I would start for the next round. Now, at some point in the game, if you get enough of these icons to have 5 in any one type, so if I got 5 beast icons, let's say, I would take my beast favor token here, and I would place it over there on top of the board. So I'm going to get up and show you this a little bit more detail. And if I'm the first player to do that, then I'm going to put it in the first spot. And so I'm going to bring this a little bit closer so that you can see this on frame. And so you can see here that there are 2 spots here, a first and second. And if you're the first person to do so, you're going to get a number of victory points for this type of card that you have taken throughout the course of the game. So 3 victory points for every yellow card that you have taken if you are the person to claim that. If you're second, then you're only going to get 2 points for every yellow card that you have done throughout the course of the game. And there are going to be those for every type of icon. And so here's another example. It's just purple. Here's another one where you are going to get 2 victory points for every blue and purple. This isn't either or. This is both blue and purple, or 1 victory point for that type of card. You will gain those at the end of the game because, again, you are keeping track of all the cards that you take in the game, not just for that round. You are keeping these cards and you're just building on more and more throughout the course of the game. At the end of 3 rounds, you see who has the most points, keeping track of points around the edge of the board, and that person is the winner. And that is how you play Explorers of Navoria. Let's go back up top and share our thoughts on this one. And we're back, and now we're going to share our thoughts on Explorers of Navoria from a gamer and non-gamer's perspective. So Sam, first thing I want to ask you about this game is because I feel like this is maybe a tad more complex than some of the games we typically feature. Not to say that this is a extremely complicated game, I don't feel like, but I think there's just a lot of ways you can get your points in this game that it might be a little overwhelming. What was it like for you?
Yeah, I mean, we've played quite a bit of games such as this, and I immediately start the game frustrated because I want to have a plan.
Okay.
And most of the time when we play games such as this, I am like, I don't like it. I'm frustrated, I'm gonna lose because I'm not sure where I should be focusing my time because you can't do everything.
Yeah.
Then by the end of the game, I'm like, okay, I'm either happy or not with what I did, but I have an idea of what I'm gonna do next time.
Yeah.
And so I don't hate it by the end. But the beginning is very hard for me to be positive about these types of games just because I know it's a big learning curve. And it's a lot of just figuring it out, feeling it out to figure out what am I going to do to get me the points that I need because it is a point salad.
Yeah.
So.
And it is so much so with this game that I felt like, had an easier time of figuring that out of, okay, I should be doing this and doing that to get points here, which will help me do this, than I had with this game. I really struggled with figuring out how to do well in this game.
Which is usually not the case. Usually I try to do everything. And I think I went into this game and I was like, I understand this aspect right here, so I'm running with it.
Yeah.
I understood 2 things, and those are the 2 things that ended up getting me tons of points.
And I think somebody could hear that out there and be like, well, that doesn't sound like a good thing because well, I'll just do that every time. And I think it's really dependent upon what are some of the goals that are set up as favor goals that are set up at the beginning of the game, because that can get you a lot of points. And if you play into that can get you a lot of points.
Too, just kind of have what you're dealt and how you play the first 2 rounds, and then you kind of see, okay, this is what I'm getting, this is what I'm seeing, I'm going to start to focus on these, but the next time that could completely change. But you have to choose what to focus on. If you try to do everything, you're going to fail.
Which is what I experienced with the game, is that I spread myself way too far, way too thin, and didn't do well. But I'll tell you, I love this game.
Yeah.
I had a blast playing this game. Even in a losing effort, I had such a good time playing this game, and I lost by a lot in this gun. I did not do well for whatever reason. And I think what it is about this game is that there are lots of different ways to go about to make your strategy work and to get your points in this one. And it's kind of a little bit like this game that's right behind Sam that you can't really see right here, Leaf, because there's a lot of ways in Leaf where you can get your points and a lot of areas to focus in on. And totally different games, but this gives me that same sort of feeling where I could really focus in on these green cards, getting my resources and firing away at the different sets on my board. But I really want to, build on my board and tableau building and really get those buildings out on the board, because that makes them fire off even bigger and better than what they are at the beginning. So one thing leads to another in this game, and you really start to find that you can really spread yourself too thin really quickly.
Yes.
And then before you know it, the game is over, and you've not really kind of hammered away at 1 or 2 things that really give you a lot of points. And I feel like you got that figured out.
It's for lack of understanding the entire game, so take that with a grain of salt.
All right, let's get to pros and cons for this one. So what bullet points stand out to you pros-wise for this one?
I thought the drawing the tiles and picking the cards that you want was a unique aspect of the game. And, once you played a couple of rounds, you kind of started to understand what each card is going to offer you and what you're looking for. And you had the option of choosing from the tiles in the middle or drawing. So I think there was a lot of freedom, I think. Not complete freedom. You couldn't just pick whatever you wanted, but some flexibility in picking the cards and kind of helping the game go the direction you wanted it to go. Yeah,
I think what I like kind of going along with that, it is a drafting game, or at least the first phase of each round is a drafting game. And that market is really, there's a lot of choices there, right? Like you have a lot of cards you can pick from. But then it gets smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller, and then you're forced to have to take something that's not that great, right? So, and I like that it's set up that way, because it's usually the case that everybody feels like they're getting at least one card that's really good, that they really like, right? And everybody's getting at least one card that they're like, I don't know that this really helps me too much, but I'll take it because it's the best of what's available. So to me, it never really felt like that one person had a bigger edge than anybody else just because of turn order, right? Now, the turn order does change based off of who's winning the game. And so there are some catch-up mechanics with that, I suppose. But I don't feel like the luck factor is not such a huge thing as there is usually the case with a lot of drafting games. So I really like that. But what else to you really worked out well for this one?
I was actually surprised by how quick the game was, because as complex as it is, and as you're going through your turns, I just remember thinking at the beginning, this is going to take forever because there's so much you could do. But it moves really quickly, and as a non-gamer, I appreciate that. I don't want to be playing a game all night. I think it took us 45 minutes or so.
And the game says 20 minutes per person, and I think after you've played it once, you could really kind of get that to be even more, maybe like 15 minutes a person, because there are phases to each round, and there's only 3 rounds, and it would feel like, okay, we got to do these 4 phases, and then we got to do them again, then we got to do them again, and that feels like Sam's saying, initially that might seem like it takes a long time, but man, the gameplay is so smooth and easy, and you move through those phases pretty quickly. So unless you're just playing with somebody who's got some really bad AP and they're really struggling on deciding what cards they're going to draft out of that market, I feel like this game moves lightning quick. Yeah, we kick those people out. So
you gotta be decisive. We have things to do.
Another thing that I really like about this game, I just like the way it looks. It has a really nice, clean look to it, and I don't know, it gives me that look of, and I'm sure you might have experienced this, of this looks like it's going to be a really heavy game. This looks like it's going to be a really complicated game. And I know we've said... I came in
and saw this and I was like, seriously?
So where she's like, that's not a great thing, I look at that, I'm like, that looks like a board game.
I think this is good. I would not be like, hey, you've never played a board game? Let's try this. But I think it is for people maybe that have been watching us for a little while and they have that gamer and non-gamer, where the non-gamer has played enough games. This is a good balance in the gamer's direction. Most of our games tilt to the non-gamer. I think this is a good one for the gamer.
I don't think I could have said that better myself. I think you're exactly right on that. Anything that maybe doesn't work too well for you with this one?
It's busy. There's a lot going on. I think you can get decision fatigue from it. And I think I played the game well because I was just in a, this is what I'm doing. I don't know if it's right. This is what I'm doing. I made the decision quickly and didn't think about it too much, but I think that could be difficult for some people.
Yeah, I could see that if you're maybe somebody who's indecisive and you go with a certain strategy, 1 or 2 choices into the game, and then you're like, I don't know if that was such a good thing, I'm going to do this. And you go that way 1 or 2 times. You could find yourself in the spot that I was in, where you're getting a little points here and there and here and there and here and there, but it's not getting you enough to compete with somebody who's getting 20 points here.
Yeah, right? I got 20 points at one time. Yeah. And it was just because of the multiplication factor that I had.
You were hammering away. And so to that, another factor about this is that you can draft the cards away so that people aren't able to kind of just hammer into that, right? Like you had the card that gives you points for flags, right? Yeah. And so I could have drafted those away from you, or I could have made sure that I advanced on those tracks too. So I'm getting just as many points as you're getting, right? Like there's things you can do to kind of compete against that, and I just wasn't playing very smartly in that regard. So I do agree with you, though. I think that this is a game that gamers are going to tend to like, that crunchiness and having to really kind of weigh out, is this the best choice for me? Am I really, making the most efficient, optimal decision here? Whereas maybe...
I think they would have to realize that you're going to be answering more questions and maybe helping along a non-gamer depending on how much of a non-gamer they are. This is not typically a game. This is a game where I had questions. I was making sure, am I doing this right? I'm not sure I understand this, but not in a, this is horrible, I don't understand this.
Yeah,
way.
It's surprisingly, here's another pro for it. It's surprisingly smooth, and I don't know if I'd say intuitive necessarily, but
I think it's too just because of how short the rounds are.
Yes.
Like you just don't, you're not making 5, 10 decisions each time. You're making 2 or 3 decisions, and you do that 3 times, and then the round's over. And so I think that that's a huge part of it.
Yeah. All right, let's get to our scores for this one. So Explorers of Navoria, where does it come in at? Scale of 1 to 10, love to hate.
I mean, this is definitely in the heavier game category.
For you.
For me, yeah. But as a heavier game, I mean, I did enjoy it. I think I do want to play it again. I want to see how it would go. I think it does help that I won the first time. So it's obviously going to rack up the points. I would probably give it, I'm having a hard time with this one, probably about a 7.3.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
It was a good game. I liked it. It could probably, I need to play it again, and it may go higher,
okay.
I think.
All right. I really like this one. I'm really sold on it. Had I not ever gotten to play it, I think it could be one that I would, maybe shy away from and think, I don't know, that looks like it could be too much for us to play together. And it may still be too much for some people out there, right? Like, I'm not going to sit here and say this is a perfect game for all casual and non-gamers to play. I'm not going to go that far. But I do think that if you've played some games, if that casual gamer in your life has played some games with you and is willing to maybe kind of step out on something that's a tad bit more complex, really consider this one, because I think this is one that can really branch into other games or stand on its own and be something that I think people could just be like, yeah, we're going to keep playing this one time and time again. I think this is the game that can have some replayability and life shelf, one that'll stay on your shelf for some time. So I really like it. I'm going to give it an 8 because I really enjoy this one. I don't get to keep this one. I have to send it on to someone else, and I'm really kind of upset about that. So I would like to hold on to this copy. So
English version.
Yeah, for sure. But, you really should check this one out, guys. If you're watching this video, I assume that you're probably already a little bit curious about it. Take my word for it. You really want to look into this one. It's a really good game. So, Explorers of Navoria. It is from Qiling Games. Leave us some comments down below. Let us know what you think about this game.
Make sure to like and subscribe and push that bell button so you get notifications of all our new content.
I'm Lance.
I'm Sam.
And we are Love to Hate, where we try to bridge the gap between gamers and non-gamers. We'll catch you next time.